In the fortified town of Capernaum, where Roman banners fluttered above the synagogue and the Sea of Galilee's waters lapped against sturdy docks, lived a centurion named Gaius Valerius. He was a man of 45 years, his frame broad and battle-hardened from 2 decades in the legions, his face etched with lines from sun-baked marches across Judea, and the sharp eyes of one who had commanded men through rebellion and storm. Gaius had risen through the ranks with discipline and favor from his superiors, overseeing a century of 80 soldiers stationed to maintain order in this volatile province. His villa, modest by Roman standards but grand among Jewish homes, overlooked the lake where fishermen cast nets and tax collectors tallied hauls. Gaius valued loyalty above all. Among his troops, he was known as firm but fair, rewarding bravery and punishing desertion with equal measure. Yet beneath the polished breastplate and authoritative voice lay a heart burdened by isolation, a Roman outsider in a land that despised his kind. He had come to Capernaum 10 years earlier, transferred from Antioch after quelling a minor uprising, and found the Jews' faith intriguing, if alien. Their one God, their scriptures read in synagogue, their hope in a coming Messiah. Gaius admired their resilience, building a synagogue at his own expense to foster goodwill, but he kept his distance, aware that his position as occupier made true friendship impossible. His only close companion was Lucius, a young servant of 20, captured in a Gallic campaign and raised in Gaius's household since boyhood. Lucius handled the villa's affairs with quiet efficiency, his loyalty unwavering. But lately a shadow had fallen over him. Feverish nights, labored breaths, a cough that rattled like stones in his chest. Physicians from Tiberias offered herbs and bleedings, but the illness lingered, sapping Lucius's strength. Gaius watched helplessly, the boy who had become like a son wasting away in the upper chamber. And for the first time, the centurion's iron resolve cracked. If you're facing an unseen battle right now, like Gaius watching his closest companion fade, hit that like button and drop faith in the comments. Let's uncover how one man's belief changed everything. Gaius's days followed a rigid routine, a bulwark against the chaos of the province. Dawn brought inspections of his century, soldiers drilling in the courtyard with shields raised and swords flashing, their chants echoing off stone walls. He reviewed reports from scouts patrolling the trade routes, where zealots lurked and bandits preyed on caravans. Midday meant audiences with local leaders, Rabbi Eli from the synagogue seeking leniency on taxes, or merchants complaining of Roman tariffs. Gaius listened patiently, his Greek honed by years in the East, but decisions were practical. Order must prevail. Evenings brought solitude in the villa's atrium, where Lucius served simple meals of bread, olives, and fish from the lake. The boy had been with him since the Gallic Wars, a wide-eyed captive of 12, who learned Latin quickly and tended Gaius's armor without complaint. Over years, Lucius had become indispensable, managing supplies, soothing soldiers' grievances, even reading Greek scrolls on philosophy when Gaius sought distraction from duty's weight. But now Lucius lay abed, skin pale and clammy, breaths shallow under wool blankets. "Master," he whispered during lucid moments, "do not trouble yourself. I've served well." Gaius gripped his hand, voice rough. "Nonsense, boy, you'll mend." But the healer's visits yielded little. Potions that burned the throat, incisions that weakened further. Gaius turned to the synagogue elders, men he had aided with his synagogue gift, pleading, "Your God heals. Send word to this Jesus of Nazareth. I've heard he performs wonders." The elders nodded, moved by Gaius's humility, a Roman seeking Jewish mercy. "He comes to Capernaum often," Rabbi Eli said. "We'll ask." Gaius paced the villa's mosaic floors, the lake's reflection mocking his powerlessness. Gaius's fever spiked that night, delirium bringing cries in Gaelic tongue.
Gaius sat vigil, memories flooding, battles where Lucius bandaged wounds, quiet evenings debating stoic virtue. "Live," he commanded softly, as if to a soldier. Dawn broke without change, but hope flickered when elders returned. "Jesus is here. He goes to Peter's house." Gaius sent them ahead, heart pounding. This Nazarene, called prophet and healer, might be their last chance. Capernaum thrummed with the teacher's arrival, crowds gathering by the synagogue and lakeshore, Jews and Gentiles mingling in anticipation. Gaius, in plain tunic to avoid notice, followed at a distance, his military bearing drawing glances. He had heard tales from patrols, Jesus calming storms, feeding multitudes, casting demons into pigs. A miracle worker, perhaps a sage or sorcerer, but Gaius sought proof for Lucius. The elders met Jesus near Peter's home, voices earnest. "This centurion deserves your help. He loves our nation, built our synagogue." Jesus nodded, turning toward the villa. Gaius intercepted them on the path, bowing slightly. "Lord, my servant lies paralyzed, suffering terribly." Jesus met his eyes. "Shall I come and heal him?" Gaius hesitated, authority clashing with humility. "Lord, I am not worthy to have you under my roof, but only say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I too am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I say, 'Go,' and he goes. 'Come,' and he comes. Do this, and it is done." The elders marveled, a Roman grasping Jewish faith's power. Jesus turned to the crowd, voice carrying, "Truly, I tell you, with no one in Israel have I found such faith. Many will come from east and west to feast with Abraham, but the sons of the kingdom will be thrown into outer darkness." To Gaius, "Go, let it be done as you have believed." Gaius felt a surge, like orders given on battlefield, but this command carried divine weight. He returned home, finding Lucius sitting up, color returned, breath steady. "Master, I dreamed of light driving shadows," the boy said. Gaius knelt, tears rare for a centurion. "The teacher spoke, and you are healed." Word spread, Roman faith greater than Israel's sons. Gaius visited the elders, gratitude profound. "Your God is mighty." But deeper questions stirred. Could this Jesus bridge Roman and Jew, heal not just body but divide? Gaius's life shifted after Lucius's healing, the villa no longer shadowed by illness but filled with purpose. The servant, vigorous again, resumed duties with renewed zeal, cooking Roman stews and Jewish breads, bridging worlds. Gaius sent gifts to the synagogue, fine linens, oil jars. Rabbi Eli accepting with warmth, "Your faith honors us." But Gaius sought more, attending teachings discreetly, learning Torah's promises of Messiah. Jesus returned often, crowds swelling, parables of seeds, lost sheep, prodigal sons resonating with Gaius's sense of outsider status. One Sabbath, he watched Jesus heal a withered hand, Pharisees seething. "He claims God as Father," they muttered. Gaius pondered.
If Jesus healed his servant without presence, what power lay in his words? Lucius, healed, shared dreams. I saw the teacher's light, Master, like Roman eagles, but with dove's peace. Gaius nodded, faith budding like olive shoots. Duty called, a skirmish near Tiberias, zealots ambushing a caravan. Gaius led his sentry, swords clashing, but mercy tempered his command. Take prisoners, not lives. Victory came, but a soldier died, reminding him of fragility. Back in Capernaum, he visited Jesus at Peter's house, crowd parting for the Centurion. Teacher, you healed Lucius, now heal this land's hate. Jesus replied, Blessed are the peacemakers, they shall be called sons of God. Gaius bowed, words etching his heart. Nights brought reflection under stars, lake whispering like legion drums. He read scrolls, Isaiah's suffering servant, psalms of deliverance, seeing Jesus in prophecies.
Lucius noticed, Master, you pray now. Gaius smiled. Your healing opened eyes I didn't know were blind. Opposition brewed, Pharisees warning Gaius of sedition ties. This Jesus stirs unrest, they said. Gaius defended, he heals, not harms. Tension mounted as Passover neared, pilgrims flooding roads. Gaius reinforced patrols, but heart pulled to the synagogue where Jesus taught, urgently, of bread of life, light of world. Gaius slipped in, learning in shadows. One evening, a possessed man raged. Jesus commanded silence, spirit fleeing. Gaius witnessed, authority humbling his military pride. Even demons obey him, he whispered to Lucius later. The boy nodded, as soldiers obey you, Master. Gaius laughed softly, faith solidifying. But rumors swirled, Jesus heading to Jerusalem, confrontation looming. Gaius prayed for protection, unseen faith growing like vine on trellis. If Gaius's quiet belief amid duty inspires you, like faith in everyday battles, subscribe and hit the bell. Drop healed in comments if God's word has changed your world. Part 2 next week. The ultimate test of his faith. Gaius's unseen faith deepened as Jesus's ministry intensified, the centurion balancing Roman obligation with growing devotion. He hosted discreet meetings, elders and disciples discussing teachings, his villa a neutral ground where Jew and Roman could speak freely. Lucius served, his healed vigor a living testimony. The teacher's word is like a legion's order, Gaius told Rabbi Eli one night. Instant, absolute. Eli nodded. Faith like yours, Centurion, fulfills the prophets. Gaius studied scriptures, seeing Jesus as the suffering servant bearing stripes for healing. Duty interrupted, a revolt in Sepphoris, requiring his century's march. Gaius left orders for Lucius's care, heart heavy. On the road, dust choking, he prayed, protect the teacher as you protected my servant. Battle was swift, rebels crushed, but Gaius spared lives, earning superiors' suspicion. Returning, he found Capernaum abuzz, Jesus feeding 5,000, walking on water. Gaius sought him by the lake, crowd parting. Lord, your power defies nature, he said. Jesus smiled. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. Gaius bowed, words searing. At home, Lucius shared village talk. They call him Messiah. Gaius pondered, Roman logic clashing with Jewish hope. Pharisees confronted him. Your synagogue gift buys favor, now this Nazarene? Gaius replied, he heals all who ask, Jew or Gentile. Tension escalated, Herod's court intrigued, Romans wary. Gaius reported neutrally, protecting Jesus subtly. Passover pilgrimage swelled the town, Gaius's men on alert. He attended synagogue, Jesus' teaching of betrayal's cup. Gaius's heart clenched, unseen enemies everywhere. One night, a storm raged. Gaius dreamed of legions parting seas for the teacher. Waking, he sent Lucius to Peter. "Tell them I'm ready to serve." Faith, once hidden, now burned like synagogue lamps. If this part of Gaius's story stirs your own quiet faith journey, like and share. Comment "Believe" if God's word has changed your world. Part 2 reveals the miracle's full impact. Gaius's unseen faith deepened as Jesus' ministry intensified, the centurion balancing Roman obligation with growing devotion. He hosted discreet meetings, elders and disciples discussing teachings, his villa a neutral ground where Jew and Roman could speak freely. Lucius served, his healed vigor a living testimony. "The teacher's word is like a legion's order," Gaius told Rabbi Eli one night. "Instant, absolute." Eli nodded. "Faith like yours, Centurion, fulfills the prophets." Gaius studied scriptures, seeing Jesus as the suffering servant bearing stripes for healing. Duty interrupted, a revolt in Sepphoris, requiring his century's march. Gaius left borders for Lucius's care, heart heavy. On the road, dust choking, he prayed, "Protect the teacher as you protected my servant." Battle was swift, rebels crushed, but Gaius spared lives, earning superior's suspicion. Returning, he found Capernaum abuzz, Jesus feeding 5,000, walking on water. Gaius sought him by the lake, crowd parting. "Lord, your power defies nature," he said. Jesus smiled. "Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe." Gaius bowed, words searing.
Gaius studied scriptures, seeing Jesus as the suffering servant bearing stripes for healing. Duty interrupted, a revolt in Sepphoris, requiring his century's march. Gaius left orders for Lucius's care, heart heavy. On the road, dust choking, he prayed, "Protect the teacher as you protected my servant." Battle was swift, rebels crushed, but Gaius spared lives, earning superior's suspicion. Returning, he found Capernaum abuzz, Jesus feeding 5,000, walking on water. Gaius sought him by the lake, crowd parting. "Lord, your power defies nature," he said. Jesus smiled. "Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe." Gaius bowed, words searing. At home, Lucius shared village talk. "They call him Messiah." Gaius pondered, Roman logic clashing with Jewish hope. Pharisees confronted him. "Your synagogue gift buys favor. Now this Nazarene?" Gaius replied, "He heals all who ask, Jew or Gentile." Tension escalated, Herod's court intrigued, Romans wary. Gaius reported neutrally, protecting Jesus subtly. Passover pilgrimage swelled the town, Gaius's men on alert. He attended synagogue, Jesus' teaching of betrayal's cup. Gaius's heart clenched, unseen enemies everywhere. One night, a storm raged. Gaius dreamed of legions parting seas for the teacher. Waking, he sent Lucius to Peter. "Tell them I'm ready to serve." Faith, once hidden, now burned like synagogue lamps. Gaius's role in Capernaum became more complex, his military duties intertwining with the spiritual awakening that had taken root in his soul. The healing of Lucius had been a spark, but the ongoing presence of the teacher in the town fanned it into a steady flame. He began to observe the Sabbath quietly, slipping into the synagogue when his patrols allowed, sitting in the back where his Roman tunic wouldn't draw too much ire. The rabbi's readings from the scrolls, passages of Isaiah and the Psalms, now carried new weight,
as if the words had been waiting for him to hear them properly. Lucius, ever perceptive, noticed the change. "Master," he said one evening, as they shared a meal of bread and salted fish, "your eyes light up when you speak of the synagogue now." Gaius chuckled, a rare sound for a man accustomed to barked orders. "The words there, they speak of a God who commands not just soldiers, but creation itself." Lucius nodded, his own faith blooming from the miracle that had restored him. Gaius's century remained vigilant, the Passover crowds bringing both opportunity and risk, pilgrims with coin purses, but also zealots with hidden knives. Gaius doubled the guards at the gates, his officers grumbling about the extra hours. "The teacher draws them like moths to flame," one lieutenant complained. "What if it sparks unrest?" Gaius silenced him with a look. "He draws the peaceful. Watch for the knives, not the words." In truth, Gaius worried too. The Pharisees' whispers grew louder, their questions to Jesus sharper. He had overheard one confrontation near the market, where a scribe demanded, "By whose authority do you heal on the Sabbath?" The teacher's reply, "The Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath," had left the man speechless, but Gaius saw the hatred in his eyes. Gaius prayed in silence, his Roman gods long forgotten, replaced by this Jewish Messiah who healed with a word.
Duty called again, a routine inspection of the northern roads where bandits preyed on traders. Gaius rode with his men, the clop of hooves echoing his thoughts. The landscape rolled by, rolling hills, olive presses, small villages like Bethsaida where the teacher had taught. He wondered about the man's family, if they shared his faith or viewed him as a Roman dog. At a checkpoint, a Jewish merchant approached, his cart laden with spices. "Centurion, the teacher passes this way soon. Will your men stop him?" Gaius met his gaze steadily. "If he brings peace, no." The merchant nodded, slipping him a small pouch of myrrh. "For your servant's health." Gaius accepted, touched by the gesture. Back in Capernaum, Lucius used the myrrh in a poultice for a villager's wound, the fragrance filling the villa. "Smells like the East," Lucius said. Gaius smiled, "Like hope." The days before Passover were tense, the town swelling with pilgrims from Jerusalem and beyond. Gaius's sentry manned the walls, spears glinting in the sun. He walked the battlements at dusk, the lake a silver mirror below. From afar he saw the teacher teaching on a hillside, his voice carrying like wind. Gaius longed to listen, but duty held him. That night, Lucius brought news. The teacher dines at Matthew's house, a tax collector turned disciple. Gaius raised an eyebrow. A sinner turned friend? That's a miracle too. Lucius grinned, like a centurion finding faith. Gaius laughed, the sound echoing in the atrium. As Passover begun, the town transformed, lambs bleating in streets, families gathering for the Seder. Gaius excused himself from Roman feasts, dining simply with Lucius, sharing stories of battles and healings. "The teacher speaks of a new covenant," Lucius said, eyes distant. Gaius nodded, "one written not on stone, but hearts." Tension peaked when word arrived of unrest in Jerusalem, zealots clashing with guards. Gaius's superiors demanded more troops, but he requested permission to stay, citing the teacher's calming influence. "He's no rebel," Gaius argued. The commander relented, wary of the centurion's growing reputation. Gaius patrolled the synagogue during services, his presence a deterrent to agitators. Inside, he heard the teacher's urgent words of vine and branches, abiding in him. Gaius's heart ached, the time felt short. One evening, as he oversaw the gates, a delegation from the elders approached. "The teacher heads to Jerusalem," Rabbi Eli said. "Will you see him off?" Gaius nodded, walking to the lake shore where a small crowd gathered. The teacher boarded a boat, disciples around him. Gaius stood at a distance, saluting subtly. The boat pushed off, waves lapping. "Go with God," Gaius whispered. Gaius's faith, once a solitary flame, now warmed his entire household and beyond. Lucius, fully recovered, became his confidant in spiritual matters, reading from the scrolls when Gaius was too weary from duty. The villa, once a place of Roman austerity, softened with Jewish touches, a menorah on the table, psalms recited at meals. Gaius's officers noticed, ribbing him gently, "The Centurion gone soft on the Jews?" Gaius replied with a grin, "The Jews gone soft on me." But the lightness masked deeper changes. He began to question his path, the legion's endless campaigns clashing with the teacher's message of peace. During quiet hours, he pondered the Centurion at the crucifixion, another Roman, confessing Jesus as Son of God. Would Gaius stand firm if tested? Passover passed without incident, Gaius's men praising his leadership. But news from Jerusalem chilled him. The teacher arrested, tried, crucified. Gaius rushed south, arriving too late for the cross, but in time for the empty tomb. He stood outside, heart breaking. The man who healed Lucius, gone? Disciples whispered of resurrection. Gaius listened, hope flickering. He returned to Capernaum, duty resuming, but faith unquenched. Lucius greeted him. "Master, they say he lives." Gaius nodded. If true, everything changes. Reports came, appearances on roads, in rooms, commissioning followers. Gaius sought the elders, learning of Pentecost's fire. His century remained, but Gaius's heart turned fully. He hosted believers, protecting them from Roman scrutiny. Lucius joined, his healing a beacon. Gaius's legacy, a Roman bridge to faith, endured, unseen but eternal. Gaius's later years were marked by a quiet but profound influence, as his faith rippled through Capernaum and beyond. He retired from the legions with honor, his century's loyalty following him into civilian life. The villa became a gathering place for Jews and Gentiles alike, where Rabbi Eli and Lucius led discussions on the teacher's words. Gaius, no longer in armor, wore a simple tunic, his hands now used for building rather than wielding swords. He helped expand the synagogue, adding rooms for study and prayer, his Roman engineering skills turning the building into a beacon of unity. Lucius married a local Jewish girl, their union symbolizing the bridge Gaius had built. The couple had children, and Gaius doted on his grandchildren, telling them stories of the teacher's miracles without naming him directly, letting their imagination fill the gaps. "A man of great power healed my servant with a word," he'd say, his voice steady. The children listened, eyes wide, absorbing the legacy of faith. When persecution came, Roman emperors demanding emperor worship, Gaius stood firm, his home a safe harbor for believers. He faced interrogations, his military bearing serving him well, but never recanted. "I serve a higher authority," he'd say, echoing the words that had started it all. Lucius and his family remained safe, thanks to Gaius's connections, but the centurion's health faded, his body worn from years of service. In his final days, He sat by the lake, Lucius at his side. "Master," Lucius said, "you changed everything." Gaius smiled, gazing at the water. "No, the word changed me. Remember it always." With that, he passed peacefully, his unseen faith leaving an eternal mark.